Hi guys, my name is Tatiana and this is Magda, and we're hosting a podcast for our training and development course where we will be talking about how to handle crucial conversations. Magda, do you mind telling me what crucial conversations are?
So, a crucial conversation is a discussion between two or more people where the stakes and the emotions are running high, opinions vary, and the outcome can greatly affect either person. So, typically we handle these crucial conversations a couple different ways. When they arise, we can either avoid them, we can face them and handle them poorly, or we can face them and handle them well. And obviously, we want to give people the tools to handle them well when they face them. So, firstly, we kind of want to remember that there are a couple reasons why we handle them poorly, and the first one is that maybe your adrenaline is just rushing and you're just kind of in that fight or flight response and you just don't really know what to do, or it's taken you completely by surprise. Someone just comes up on you and wants to talk about something really important, or maybe you're just confused about what they want to talk about. And if we keep all this stuff in mind, then we can kind of help calm ourselves down and get ready for the conversation. So definitely we want to keep that dialogue going, which is basically a free flow of relevant information between two different people. That's going to be the core of keeping this conversation going.
And how do you know if you're keeping that? How do you keep that free flow?
So basically, people just need to feel safe enough with the conversation that they can add their opinion and know that it's going to be taken well, and they'll be able to have that kind of back and forth, that dialogue going.
I see.
Yep. So it's all about feeling safe enough to do that with somebody. And that kind of brings me to my first point, is that how do you make someone feel safe enough with you to do that? And you really want to start with the heart. And what that means is that you want to focus on what you want out of the conversation, but also focus on what you want for them out of the conversation and what you want for your relationship. It's not just about you. And if you're coming from the right place, if you're ready for that conversation, then it's going to go a lot more smoothly.
And how do you know that what if you're not coming from the heart?
So you can tell when someone's not in the right place and they're not coming from the heart, if they just want to win, if they're kind of combative, if they're trying to seek revenge, if they are hoping to remain safe and not really add anything to the conversation, then those are all kind of signs that either they're not coming from the heart, or if you see those in yourself, then you're not coming from the heart, and you really have to step back and evaluate the situation. You kind of have to think that it's not an either or, it's not you against them, you're not trying to win, you're not trying to make them lose, it's about an and mentality, which means that it's you and that person trying to come together for a common goal. And
so it's a win-win situation.
Exactly. You want it to be win-win. You don't want anyone to have to lose in this situation. So what you can do is you can learn to look. So what that means is that when you're actually in this conversation, you want to not only be looking for content of what they're saying, but also look for conditions. So, different things around you, like body language. Are they moving towards the door? Are they starting to get, a stance with you that means that they're defensive? So you just want to kind of look for all of this stuff. There are definitely some signs that point to a crucial conversation. If you haven't figured it out by now, then you will figure it out by their body language. There's physical signs, tensing their shoulders, tensing their stomach and things like that. But then there's also emotional and behavioral signs as well. Not only what people are saying, but you can tell kind of how they're feeling as well in the situation. So you need to look for those signs. If you're paying close attention to that, you'll be able to see when someone's afraid. So you want to look for fear or safety issues. When someone's afraid, it basically stops the flow of dialogue. Fear reduces your ability to see beyond yourself, and so you can't really see the conversation in an objective view anymore. So that's when you start to pull back from the conversation or protect yourself. And so you kind of want to think of it like fight or flight. When that adrenaline starts to go, when you feel defensive or when they feel defensive, not only do you want to look for those clues in them, but you also want to look for them in yourself as well. And so when you're thinking about fight or flight, you can kind of look at it as silence or violence when it comes to conversations. Silence means that they are either going to withdraw from the conversation, or they are going to they're not going to show you how they really feel. So like if they're getting sarcastic or they're not addressing the real issue, those are going to be silence problems. And then the other side of that is violence. And so if they are trying to control the situation, they're trying to attack you personally, trying to belittle you, use stereotypes, anything like that, that's the violent side of it. So if you're seeing either of those things, you really have to step back from the conversation and think about what's going on. And it's okay to tell the person, let's take 30 minutes, think about what's going on, think about what you want, think about what I want, and we will come back to this conversation when we're feeling a little bit better or when, we calm down a little bit.
Right. It sounds like they're getting defensive.
Yeah, so it could be a way of protecting themselves. So not only are they getting defensive, but they kind of want to avoid embarrassment. They want to save face, or they want to, they want to win. They want to be right. They want to punish others. And none of those things are okay when it comes to a crucial conversation. Because remember, we said that this is a conversation with something or someone that you value, that person, you value the relationship. Maybe it's a boss or your spouse or something like that. Like, you still have to work with that person. You still have to be around that person.
Right.
So.
Magda, thank you so much for covering the parts where we have to start with the heart and look for the signs in certain situations. And I also wanted to talk about stories. Stories are our own perception of the fact, and we oftentimes make up those stories.
Okay, so what do you mean by stories? Can you give an example?
Sure. For example, the most recent one that I can think of happened to me last weekend, and I was texting my husband, asking him to call me back, and he didn't reply. Then I called him, and he didn't answer his phone. So I started thinking, what could possibly go wrong? What happened to him? Maybe something bad happened. I realized that he was driving at the time, and I thought, oh my God, what if he got into an accident? What if something bad happened with the car, or who knows? My mind just went to so many places. So I've made up probably 100 stories at that point. Turned out that he just left his phone in the car and went to a store for some shopping. And that's just a simple example of how we make up stories and go along with them. So it truly is just our own perception of the facts. The best way to tell the story is to share your facts, meaning facts are not conclusions that we came to. Facts are actual things that happen, actual events. We need to tell our story, and after we've told the facts, we need to share our conclusion of the facts, our own view, and the actual story that we made. We also need to ask for the other person's story, because we want to see their view of what happened. We need to make sure to talk tentatively. That means we cannot speak of the story as though the story was the actual factual data. This is something that we just made up, so we need to make sure that we treat it as such. And we definitely need to encourage testing. That means encouraging the other person to think and ask us questions that challenge our thinking as well. And the best way to think about stories and handling crucial conversations is to think about mutual purpose, because only that will help us arrive to some kind of an effective solution to what's happening in our conversation. And the best way to handle mutual purpose and arrive to mutual purpose is by using CRIB. CRIB is an acronym.
So like CRIB?
Exactly.
Okay.
CRIB. And C stands for commit to seek mutual purpose, meaning we actually have to make a conscious decision to commit to it and realize that we do need that in order to handle this conversation properly. And we need to verbally agree to arrive at a solution that is mutually acceptable. R, we need to recognize the purpose behind the strategy.
Okay.
because we confuse what we're asking for with what we want, and we need to focus on real purposes. We need to invent a mutual purpose. If you can't agree on a mutual purpose, invent one that has a higher, more encompassing long-term goal. Oftentimes we just can't agree on mutual purpose, and so we have to create something else. And B, brainstorm new strategies. When others are telling their stories, help them retrace their paths to action. We see the action at the end of their stories.
Okay. Can you give an example of crib and kind of how we can use that, kind of like a real story of something that happened?
Of course. An example that I can think of is the other day I wanted to go to movies and my husband wanted to stay home, so we couldn't really agree on what we wanted to do. But then I thought, well, I wanted to commit to seek mutual purpose. So I verbally agreed with him, and then I recognized the purpose behind the strategy, and I asked him, well, what is it that you actually want to do? And he wanted to spend time with me, while I wanted to get away from the kids and just relax a little bit. And so we invented the mutual purpose, and even though it wasn't the same thing as we originally thought, we decided to grab a coffee and go to the park for a walk. That way, I got away from the kids and got a little bit of break, and he got to spend time with me. So that way, if we think in terms of accomplishing mutual purpose, we can bring our paths together, and we can combine our stories and handle crucial conversation properly and effectively. So thank you for tuning in, and we will follow up with some skits of situations with crucial conversations.